Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Today we are going to transform the way you speak about your daily life. Have you ever tried to describe your morning to a foreign friend but struggled to find the right words beyond the simple phrase, I wake up? Well, today I am going to guide you through a journey of natural and fluent English conversation. We will learn exactly how to talk about your daily routine from the moment you open your eyes until you are ready to face the world. Let us start with the very first challenge of the day, which is waking up. I want to share a story with you about a common situation we all face. Imagine you are talking to a friend named Jack, and he looks incredibly tired. When I asked him why he was so exhausted, he told me that he woke up very early at the weekend. Now, I want you to pay close attention to the grammar here. In British English, we often say at the weekend, but on the weekend is also perfectly understood and used by many speakers. Jack explained that on Saturday he went for a long walk with his dog, and on Sunday he cleaned his entire apartment, including the kitchen, the bathroom, and the living room. It sounds like a very busy weekend, does it not? This is a perfect example of how to use the past tense to describe reasons for feeling tired in the present. Notice how I use the phrasal verb wake up. This is one of the most essential phrases in our daily vocabulary. I want you to listen to the pronunciation carefully. Wake up. Notice the linking sound between the words. The K sound at the end of wake joins smoothly with the U sound at the beginning of up. It sounds like one continuous word, wake up. But here is a secret that many learners do not know. There is a significant difference between wake up and get up. Wake up is the mental action when you open your eyes and stop sleeping. However, get up is the physical action when you actually leave your bed and stand on your feet. This distinction is important because for many of us there is a long gap between these two actions. I'm sure you can relate to this. I usually wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning, but I do not get out of bed right away. I confess that I have a bit of a bad habit. I stay in the warmth of my bed for about 10 minutes, just looking at my phone and checking the news. I know it is not the most productive way to start the day, but it helps me wake up slowly and prepare my mind for the hours ahead. This action of staying in bed, scrolling through social media or reading emails is something you can describe effortlessly in English. You can say, I lie in bed for a while, or I scroll through my phone. It makes your conversation sound so much more natural and relatable. So when you are describing your morning, remember to be specific. Do not just say, I wake up at 7. Try saying, I wake up at 7, but I do not get up until 7:15. This small detail adds depth to your story and shows that you have a strong command of English time expressions and phrasal verbs. We have established that waking up is the first step, but it is certainly not the only step. The way we transition from sleep to activity sets the tone for the entire day. Jack mentioned he was tired because of physical activity, while I might be tired simply because I stayed up late reading. Being able to explain the reason behind your mood is a key skill in communication. Instead of just saying, I am fine, or I am tired, you can add the word because, followed by your weekend activity. For example, I am tired because I cleaned my house. This structure of subject plus adjective plus because plus reason is simple, yet incredibly powerful for keeping a conversation going. Now that we have fully analyzed the waking up process, I want to move you forward to the next crucial part of the morning. It involves moving your body and starting your hygiene routine. Now that we are finally out of bed and standing on our feet, let us look at the bedroom environment. There is one specific task that divides people into two groups, those who do it and those who do not. I am talking about making the bed. I want you to notice the verb I used. We say make the bed, not do the bed. This is a very common mistake. The phrase make the bed means to organize your pillows, sheets, and blankets so that everything looks tidy and neat. I personally believe that when my bed is made, my room looks clean and it makes me feel organized and ready for the day. It is a small psychological win to start your morning. After this small task, I head straight to the bathroom. This is where we have a lot of specific vocabulary that you need to master. The first thing most of us do is brush our teeth. Please focus on the pronunciation of the word teeth. You must place your tongue between your teeth to create the th sound at the end. It is a soft sound, not a hard T sound. After brushing, I wash my face with water. Here we have an interesting debate about water temperature. My friend Jack prefers using cold water to wash his face. He says it helps him wake up quickly. I find that quite brave because cold water can be a shock to the system. I personally prefer warm water because it feels more gentle and relaxing. This brings us to the next major event of the morning, which is the shower. I want to emphasize a very important grammar point here. In English, we use the verb take with the word shower. We say, I take a shower, or sometimes I have a shower. We absolutely never say, I do a shower. That would be incorrect and sound very unnatural to a native speaker. So please repeat this phrase in your mind. I take a warm shower every morning. Jack told me he likes a hot shower while I usually stick to warm water. Discussing these small preferences is a great way to make small talk with colleagues or friends. Once we are clean and refreshed, it is time to think about our appearance. The phrase we use for this is get dressed. This sounds much more natural and sophisticated than saying I put on my clothes. To get dressed implies the entire process of choosing your outfit and putting it on. For example, you can say, after I finish my shower, I get dressed for work. The choice of clothes often depends on your job. Jack is lucky because he does not have a uniform. He usually wears comfortable clothes like jeans and a t-shirt. I want you to pay attention to the word comfortable. In British English, we often pronounce this with 3 syllables, comfortable, rather than 4. It flows much better. On the other hand, my work requires me to look a bit more professional. I usually wear a blouse or a nice sweater on top. A blouse is a specific word for a formal shirt worn by women, often with buttons or a nice collar. Even though I want to look professional, I also want to be comfortable, just like Jack. It is all about finding that balance. Describing your clothing is a fantastic way to practice adjectives. You can use words like soft, professional, casual, or tight. For instance, I wear a soft sweater because it is cold outside. Or I wear a formal suit because I have a meeting. Notice how we are building a narrative here. We started with the bed, moved to the bathroom, discussed the water temperature, and finally chose our outfit. This sequence is what we call a logical flow in storytelling. It helps the listener follow your day without getting successful. So now you are awake, you are clean, and you are dressed. You look fantastic, and you are ready for the next step. But wait, do you hear that sound? It is your stomach rumbling. You are hungry. That leads us perfectly to the next topic, which is fuel for your body. We need to go to the kitchen. So we have left the bedroom and now we follow the delicious smell of coffee into the kitchen. This is my favorite part of the morning because it is finally time to eat. In the UK, we often say that breakfast is the most important meal of the day, but describing it can be surprisingly difficult if you do not know the specific vocabulary. Let us look at what Jack eats. He told me that he usually has a very simple breakfast consisting of a big cup of coffee and 2 pieces of toast with butter. I want to stop here and analyze the word toast. This is a very specific word in English. When you put bread into a machine to make it hot, brown, and crispy, we call the result toast. We do not say roasted bread or grilled bread. It is simply toast. Also notice that toast is an uncountable noun. You cannot say, I ate 2 toasts. That is a common mistake. Instead, you must say, I ate 2 pieces of toast or 2 slices of toast. Jack spreads butter on his toast, which is a classic combination. Now compare this to Emma. She prefers something a bit more substantial. She mentioned eating yogurt with fruit or making scrambled eggs. Let us focus on the term scrambled eggs. This is a specific way of cooking eggs where you mix them in the pan so they become soft and fluffy. If you boil them in water, they are boiled eggs, and if you cook them flat in oil, they are fried eggs. Knowing the difference between scrambled, boiled, and fried will help you order exactly what you want when you are traveling or at a restaurant. There is also a very interesting cultural point here regarding beverages. Jack needs coffee to wake up, which is very common. However, Emma drinks green tea. In Britain, we are famous for drinking tea, but usually it is black tea with milk. Drinking green tea shows that Emma is perhaps very health conscious. She even made a joke saying, that implies more coffee for me. This is a natural way to say that if one person does not want something, the other person can have more of it. Throughout this conversation about food, we kept hearing one particular word over and over again. That word is usually. Jack said, I usually take the bus. Emma said, I usually wake up at 7. This word is an adverb of frequency. It means that you do the action most of the time, perhaps 80 or 90% of the time. It is not always, but it is your normal habit. If you do something less often, you should use the word sometimes. For example, sometimes I eat cereal. Using these words helps you paint a clear picture of your lifestyle. It tells the listener what is normal for you and what is a special occasion. I also want to draw your attention to the pronunciation of the word breakfast. Many students try to say breakfast, separating the 2 words. However, in natural British English, we blend it together and change the vowel sound. It sounds like breakfast. The first syllable rhymes with neck. So you should say, I have breakfast at 8 o'clock. Try to say it quickly and naturally. Another food item mentioned was cereal. This is a very common breakfast in Western countries, usually made from grain and eaten with cold milk. The pronunciation of cereal is exactly the same as the word cereal in serial number. It is a 3-syllable word. So now you have a table full of vocabulary. You have your toast, your scrambled eggs, your coffee, and your cereal. You know how to use usually and sometimes to describe your habits. But sadly, we cannot sit in the kitchen forever. We have finished our meal, we have washed the dishes, and now we must look at the clock. The relaxing morning is over, and the workday is calling. We have to leave the house. Stepping out of the front door marks the beginning of what we call the commute. The commute is the journey you take from your home to your place of work or study. For some people, this is a relaxing time to listen to music, but for others, it can be a nightmare of traffic and delays. Let us see how our friends handle this daily journey. Jack says that he usually takes the bus because the bus stop is very close to his house, only a 2-minute walk. I want you to pay very close attention to the verb take. In English, we use take for almost all forms of transport. We take the bus, take the train, or take a taxi. We do not usually say I go by bus in casual conversation, although it is grammatically correct. Saying I take the bus sounds much more active and natural. Now let us talk about duration. How do we ask or tell someone about the length of a journey? We use the structure, it takes, followed by the time. Jack says the ride is about 20 minutes. Emma says it only takes me about 10 minutes to walk. This grammar structure is incredibly useful. You can use it for everything. It takes me an hour to cook dinner. It takes 20 minutes to get to the city centre. It is a fixed phrase, so please memorize it. It takes time. Emma is very lucky because she can walk to work. When you walk, you do not need to worry about traffic jams or late buses. She says her office is very close to her apartment. Notice she uses the word apartment. In the UK, we also use the word flat to describe a set of rooms for living in, usually on one floor of a large building. Both words are understood. Once they arrive at their destinations, their routines become very different. Jack works in a shop, so his first tasks are physical. He unlocks the door and turns on the lights. Then he turns on the cash register. The cash register is the machine where money is kept and where customers pay. The phrasal verbs turn on and unlock are essential here. Turn on is the opposite of turn off. You turn on the lights, turn on the computer, and turn on the coffee machine. After he prepares the shop, he says the morning is usually quiet, so he organizes the books on the shelves. This paints a picture of a peaceful start to the workday. Emma, on the other hand, is a teacher. Her routine is more mental. The first thing she does is check her emails. This is a very common task for office workers. She says she gets a lot of emails every morning. After that, she prepares her lessons. The word prepare is a great verb to use instead of just saying make. It implies planning and getting things ready in a professional way. She writes notes on the whiteboard and gets her materials ready. Notice the word colleague, which appeared in our lesson. A colleague is someone you work with. It is a more professional word than work friend. Emma talks with her colleagues in the teacher's lounge. This is a specific room in a school or office where staff can relax and have coffee. Using specific vocabulary like colleagues, cash register, and teacher's lounge elevates your English from basic to intermediate or even advanced. It shows you understand the nuances of the workplace environment. So we have successfully traveled from our home to our workplace. We have described the journey using the correct verbs and time expressions. We have opened the shop and started the computer. The day is in full swing now, but as the morning turns into afternoon, energy levels start to drop. You might start feeling a bit sleepy after lunch. How do we handle that midday fatigue, and what do we eat for lunch? That is exactly what we need to discuss next as we continue our day. As the morning work hours fade away, we arrive at one of the most anticipated times of the day, which is 1 o'clock in the afternoon. This is lunchtime. It is interesting how our energy levels and our vocabulary shift during this hour. We stop talking about emails and meetings and start talking about food. In our story, Jack and Emma have very different strategies for their midday meal, and this gives us a wonderful opportunity to learn some specific dining vocabulary. Jack told me that he often brings lunch from home. I want you to focus on the phrase bring lunch. This usually implies a packed lunch inside a box or a bag. Jack explains that he does this to save money, which is a very relatable reason. He mentions bringing rice and vegetables from the night before. In English, we have a specific word for food remaining from a previous meal. We call them leftovers. You can say, I am eating leftovers for lunch. It sounds perfectly natural and is very common in British culture. On the other hand, Emma usually eats in the school cafeteria. Now, please be very careful with this word. A cafeteria is not the same as a cafe. A cafe is usually a small, stylish place where you buy coffee and cakes like Starbucks or Costa. A cafeteria is a large self-service dining hall usually found in schools, universities, or large office buildings where you take food on a tray. Emma says the food there is cheap and okay. Notice she says, okay, not delicious. This is a subtle way of saying the quality is acceptable but not amazing. We also heard the phrase grab a sandwich. To grab in this context does not mean to seize something violently. It simply means to get something quickly because you are in a rush. For example, let us grab a coffee or let us grab a bite to eat. It is a very useful casual expression for busy professionals. However, there is a downside to eating lunch. Emma mentions a problem that many of us face. She says, after lunch, I feel a little sleepy. In English, we often call this the afternoon slump. It is that heavy feeling you get around 2 or 3 in the afternoon when your body wants to rest, but your boss wants you to work. Emma is a teacher, so she finds it difficult to teach when she is sleepy. She has to stand up and speak, which requires energy. Jack, however, has a different experience. He says the shop gets much busier in the afternoon, so he does not have time to feel sleepy. This is a great example of how our environment dictates our feelings. If you are busy, you stay awake. If you are sitting still, you struggle to keep your eyes open. We often use the phrase struggle to stay awake to describe this battle. Before we move on, I want to correct a very common pronunciation mistake regarding the word sandwich. Although there is a letter D in the spelling, we almost never pronounce it in rapid speech. We do not say sandwich, we say sandwich. The D disappears. Also, remember the word vegetables from our earlier lesson. It is 3 syllables, vegetables. So if you put it all together, you can say, I ate a vegetable sandwich in the cafeteria. Mastering these sounds will make you sound much more fluent and less like a textbook. So we have eaten our food and we have fought through the afternoon sleepiness. We have worked hard and served our customers or taught our students. Finally, the clock strikes 5. The best moment of the day has arrived. It is time to pack up our things and head to our sanctuary. The transition from work to home is more than just a physical journey, it is a mental shift. We are now entering the evening routine, which is often the most personal and relaxing part of the day. When we walk through our front door and close it behind us, the outside world disappears. In our conversation, Jack and Emma both agreed on the very first thing they do upon arriving home. They change their clothes. This is a universal ritual. Jack says, the very first thing I do is change my clothes. He takes off his jeans and puts on comfortable pants. I want you to focus on the phrasal verbs here because they are essential. We use take off for removing clothing and put on for wearing clothing. You can also use the phrase get changed. For example, as soon as I get home, I get changed. It implies a complete switch of your outfit. Emma describes her evening clothes as soft pants and a big cozy t-shirt. The word cozy is one of my favorite words in the English language. It describes a feeling of warmth, comfort, and safety. A bed can be cozy, a room can be cozy, and clothes can certainly be cozy. In British English, we spell it with a Z, but sometimes you might see it with an S. The pronunciation is the same, rhymes with nosy. Once we are comfortable in our cozy clothes, the next big question arises. What is for dinner? Jack tells us he likes to cook because it helps him relax. He makes simple meals like pasta or chicken. Cooking can be a form of therapy for some people after a stressful day. However, Emma admits that sometimes she orders food. We often call this getting a takeaway in the UK. You pick up your phone, call a restaurant, and they bring the food to your door. The phrase order food is very common. You might say, shall we cook or shall we order food tonight? It is a great conversation starter with your partner or roommate. Regardless of whether they cook or order, they both share a good habit. They wash the dishes immediately. Jack says, I do not like a dirty kitchen. Emma agrees, saying she cannot relax if the kitchen is messy. The word messy is the opposite of clean or tidy. A messy room has things everywhere. A messy kitchen has dirty plates in the sink. The phrase wash the dishes is standard, but you can also say do the washing up. Both are correct in British English. I want to highlight the pronunciation of the word clothes again because it is difficult. It is 1 syllable, not 2. It sounds exactly like the word close in, close the door. Do not say clothe, just say close. And the word changed ends with a D sound. It is not change, it is changed. So practice saying I got changed into comfortable clothes. This evening routine of changing clothes, cooking or ordering dinner and cleaning up is the foundation of a happy home life. It separates the stress of the workday from the peace of the night. But now that the chores are done and the stomach is full, what do we do with the rest of our time? We have several hours before bed. This is the time for entertainment, hobbies, and connecting with loved ones. With the chores finished and the house quiet, we finally have the freedom to do exactly what we want. This period of the evening is crucial for our mental health because it allows us to disconnect from the stresses of work and reconnect with ourselves or our friends. In our story, Emma and Jack have very different ways of spending this time, and their choices introduce us to some excellent vocabulary regarding hobbies and entertainment. Emma told me she really likes watching nature documentaries, especially the ones about the ocean or forests. I want to pause and look at the word documentary. A documentary is a factual film about real-life events, nature, or history. It is different from a movie, which is usually fiction. The pronunciation of this word can be tricky. In British English, we stress the third syllable. It sounds like doc-u-men-tree. Try not to say documentary with too many distinct syllables. Just flow through it. Emma also mentions that she sometimes watches a series on Netflix. Notice that the word series looks plural because it ends in an S, but it can be singular too. You can say, I am watching a new series. You do not say a new series. That is a common error. On the other hand, Jack prefers a more interactive form of entertainment. He plays video games with his friends online. There is often a stereotype that video games are solitary or childish, but Jack explains that it gives him a chance to talk with his friends. So for him, it is a social activity. He uses the phrase play video games. We always use the verb play with games, sports, and musical instruments. However, Jack does not just sit on the sofa all week. He mentions a very specific detail about his physical activity. He says, sometimes I go to the gym in the evening, but only twice a week, on Tuesdays and Thursdays. There are 2 grammar points here I want you to master. First, the phrase twice a week. We say once, twice, and then 3 times. We do not usually say 2 times a week. It is much more natural to say twice. Second, look at the days of the week. He says Tuesdays and Thursdays with an S at the end. This plural form means every Tuesday and every Thursday. It implies a repeating habit. This is part of his schedule. Now let us talk about the word schedule. This is one of the biggest differences between British and American English. In the UK, we pronounce it with a sh sound, like the word shed. So it is shed-ule. In America, they pronounce it with a K sound, like sked-ule. Both are correct, but since we are learning British English, I encourage you to use the sh sound. Emma also has a scheduled activity. She has her book club on Wednesdays. A book club is a group of people who read the same book and then meet to discuss it. It is a wonderful way to socialize. So whether you are watching a documentary, playing video games, or going to the gym, the key vocabulary here is about frequency and preference. You can say, I prefer reading to gaming, or I enjoy watching series. We use the gerund form adding ing after enjoy and prefer. For example, I enjoy cooking, not I enjoy to cook. This small grammatical adjustment will make your speech sound significantly more advanced. So we have enjoyed our hobbies and we have had some fun. The clock is ticking and the night is getting darker. We are reaching the end of the day. The energy in the house is lowering and our bodies are telling us it is time to rest. The day is almost done and we are now in the final location of our 24-hour journey, which is the bedroom. This is where the bedtime routine takes place. Just like the morning routine, it is a sequence of actions but in reverse order. We are winding down, not powering up. Emma and Jack both agree on the basics. They brush their teeth again and they wash their faces. But there is one crucial action that ensures the next day starts smoothly. Jack says after that, I set my alarm for the next morning. To set the alarm means to program your clock or your phone to wake you up at a specific time. You do not say, I put the alarm or I make the alarm. You strictly say, I set the alarm. Once the alarm is set, they get into bed. Notice we say get into bed, not go inside bed. Now we come to a very modern problem that affects the quality of our sleep. Jack admits that he usually looks at his phone while in bed watching short videos. Emma wisely points out that this is not good. She says the light from the phone is bad for your eyes and your brain. In the scientific world, we call this blue light. It tricks your brain into thinking it is still daytime. This prevents you from falling asleep. I want you to pay close attention to the phrase fall asleep. This is different from go to sleep. Go to sleep is the action of going to bed and closing your eyes. Fall asleep is the involuntary moment when your brain switches off and you enter the dream world. You cannot force yourself to fall asleep, you can only wait for it to happen. Emma reads a real book for about 20 minutes to help her relax and fall asleep. This is a much healthier habit. We also discussed sleep duration. Emma needs 8 hours to feel good, while Jack only gets 7 and often feels tired. We use the adjective shattered in British slang to mean extremely tired. You could say I am absolutely shattered after work today. Finally, as we close our eyes, we might say goodnight to our partner or family. A very common and affectionate idiom we use is sleep tight. It simply means sleep well. So there you have it. We have traveled through an entire day together. We started with waking up and making the bed. We moved through breakfast, the commute, and the busy workday. We handled lunch, the afternoon slump, and the joy of coming home. We relaxed with our hobbies, and finally, we drifted off to sleep. You now have a complete toolkit of vocabulary to describe every single aspect of your daily life. I hope you feel more confident and ready to use these words in your own conversations. Now I have a question for you to answer before you go. What is your favorite part of the day and why? Is it the peaceful morning with your coffee, or is it the cozy evening with a good movie? Please write your answer in the comments below, because I read every single one of them and I love hearing about your lives. If you found this video helpful and want to continue improving your English, please give this video a like and make sure to subscribe to my channel. Do not forget to turn on the notification bell so you never miss a lesson. I have many more exciting topics prepared for you. Thank you so much for watching. Keep learning, keep practicing, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.